It's always a great pleasure for African Ascent to continue bringing you music of the highest standards that invariably come from Berklee College of Music, in which I happen to be a professor of philosophy and English. As in the past, African Ascent continues to take great pride in drawing out from the mainstream of the music jet setters for the present time. Tonight then, it is my honor and my great pleasure to bring to you two emerging artists / musicians who are being trained by the leading musicians in the world only because the faculty at Berklee College of Music is what contributes to Berklee's status as the #1 college for the study of contemporary music. Welcome to African Ascent.
Thank you.
Well, I don't even know where to begin, but let me first introduce my guests. Right in front of me is one of my truly brilliant students. You see her, she's blushing a little bit. I did not mean to make her blush. Liliane Belines. In French, Vieni. And then right next to her is her colleague, who is equally brilliant. I discovered these two students in my ongoing course at Berklee College of Music now, called Philosophy and Literature. And she is Danae, a beautiful name, Greenfield. They're going to perform for us tonight. It promises to be a spectacular performance. I'm so used to great musical productions from Berklee College of Music. So what I thought we should do before you begin performing for us is to talk about music somehow. I was thinking of this question as I was preparing for this interview. I'm just curious to know if there is a relationship between music and the landscape of cities. Is there a relationship?
There definitely can be. It's not the only one, but it plays a part depending on if you're focusing on your surroundings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's talk, for example, briefly about LA, because you're from LA.
Yeah.
And I was just telling you on my way here how unhappy I was to visit LA. And then I went on and on describing for you in some graphic scenes of how repulsed I was by LA. And of course, in a very polished and gentle way, you corrected me. You said to me, paraphrasing you, that there is an underground culture at LA through which you could look at the city and what the city is capable of. If that is the case, what kind of music do you think is being produced through and in and at this, what you call, underground culture?
A lot of what I've seen at Arts High School and just in areas near Hollywood, especially when I was in middle school, there was a lot of emerging rock music at a time when pop, and still is very popular. I saw groups play at places like the Troubadour and the Roxy and the Whiskey, a Go-Go, and some of them I would even say are like progressive rock or folk rock. There's definitely a lot of emerging folk artists there, singer-songwriters, a wide range, and it kind of is complementing and also contrasting a lot of the popular music that's produced there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And of course, how do you describe yourself as a musician? What kind of music do you do? What kind of music are you committed to? Or are you just interested in all genres? Or is there any particular musical genre that you specialize in at Berkeley?
At Berkeley, it's a little different than it was in high school. I originally went to arts high school to focus on singer-songwriting, but got way more into jazz. And now it's kind of come full circle, where a lot of the people's original music that I've listened to can stem from folk to, like I said, progressive rock, and it's kind of all mixing together with jazz harmony.
Mm-hmm. Why jazz?
Why jazz?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's very multidimensional. It's like if you listen to a song in minor and it has like 3 different chords that are all standard triad chords, it makes you feel sad. Same with major, but jazz kind of goes beyond that, and you're not quite sure how you feel. It's not just happy or sad. It's, bewildered, or it's something.
Mm-hmm. Some people make distinctions, correct me for the primitivity of the question, between white jazz and black jazz and so on. What is this about? I thought jazz is simply that, jazz.
Well, I think because jazz originated with African American culture, being born into a genre of music, there's a lot of there can be sort of a stigma towards white people back in the day playing jazz, because it maybe wasn't as legendary or revolutionary in a way. Mm-hmm. But it all depends on. I don't really like to associate this or like that music, more
Yes.
just good or bad music.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't really matter how it comes about. You can just hear when it clicks and when it doesn't.
I see.
With you.
Mm-hmm. You're also a songwriter. Now, you're also interested in writing short stories and poems. You seem to be multitasking.
You could say that. That's like one of my biggest fears.
Mm-hmm.
Jack of all trade, never accomplishes anything.
Or master of all.
Well, I guess to get away from that fear, I like to put everything under the scope of storytelling.
Good.
Or journalism even, mm-hmm. Because when I write, it's, whether it's a song or a story, whether it's instrumental or not, it all comes from the same thing.
You're quite right.
Observing and putting down on paper and, playing.
I empathize with that because I too, until recently, was a bit afraid, to use your term, of becoming a jack of all trades and a master of none, because I'm a professional philosopher, I'm a novelist, and a television producer. But now I feel comfortable doing 3 of them and learning how to do them better every single day. And I have carved out a rubric under which I put these practices. I call it art.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It's the gist of it.
Yeah. That's the gist of it. And now it's time to interact with Ms. Greenfield. Well, you're from LA, right?
Seattle.
No, Seattle, correct,
Yes.
Seattle. Let me make a joke about Seattle. Because it rains so often, I sometimes wonder how it is that the citizens of Seattle, who must love coffee, and it always rains, so I say to myself, how do they make it possible for themselves to drink coffee unless they could hold a cup of coffee on the one hand and an umbrella on the other?
Well,
Can you imagine that scene?
Surprisingly, a lot of people in Seattle just don't really use umbrellas anymore.
Really?
They have their coffee and usually their North Face jacket, which is typical of Seattle, and they'll just carry around their coffee and
That's right.
enjoying the rain, because from, I'd say, late October to April, there will be 5 days of rain
Yes.
and 2 days of partly cloudy, sunny skies. So, I mean, I've gotten used to it. That's why it's really cool here because it's so dry, or it's either snowing, which I've come to love because I'm just so used to the rain. And actually, thinking about it now, music or composing or playing, even like in the city, has really helped me deal with the rain, and just sometimes you just don't get a lot of vitamin D, and I don't know, music is really what makes me happy, and playing that really helps with the rain. I enjoy the rain, but sometimes it's a bit much.
Incredible. I think we're about to take a short break. In about a few minutes, we're thinking about taking a break, not just yet. So anyway, let's talk even more about the connections between music and cities then. So that the fact that it always rains in Seattle, and as you say, and people continue going about their lives independent of the rain. I wonder if this kind of mood produces a particular kind of music? Or is this a silly question?
I feel like even though it rains so much, it doesn't really have as strong of an impact as one would think on music, because there's still so much music being played live in Seattle, all different genres. I'm most influenced by jazz, so I feel strongly, or I know a lot about jazz in the city of Seattle. But I'm sure that there are a lot of other genres of music still being produced despite the weather. I mean, I'm sure there is some correlation, but not as much as one would think.
At what age did you discover that you would like to become a jazz artist?
Well, being a piano player, I started in first grade, and I switched to jazz in sixth grade. And I attended a jazz camp or a jazz workshop in Port Townsend, Washington, my sophomore year of high school, called Centrum Jazz Port Townsend, and they bring some of the greatest players, professional musicians, jazz musicians to this camp to mentor high schoolers, or actually people of all ages. And it's there that I realized that jazz, or being a musician, is what I wanted to do with my life.
And now back to Liliana. Liliana, it appears from what I read that you're really interested in songwriting, correct?
Say that again?
Songwriting.
Interested
you're a
in
songwriter,
songwriting?
yeah?
Yeah.
And you're being trained by some of the best songwriters in the world who teach at Berkeley, correct?
I will be taking songwriting classes later, but I haven't.
You haven't started taking songwriting? And so the songs that you're writing have not been professionally evaluated yet?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay, I think the time has come for us to take a short break. Then we're going to come back and converse more. And I want to say thank you so much for engaging me for the past 10 minutes. And now my anxious audience, thousands of them, cannot wait until after they listen to your great performances. Thank you for coming. Now we got to perform.
Too much. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We're going to beat them and bust them.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
Let's get a little bit rowdy. R-O-W-D-Y.
Take time to be a dad today. Call or visit fatherhood.gov to learn more.
In 1990, in Severn, Maryland, the daughter of a clergyman was discovered by a music industry insider while pumping gas at a service station. The odds of her getting signed and spending 11 weeks at #1 on the U.S. singles charts? 1 in 19 million. The odds of this former church choir singer going on to sell 40 million records? 1 in 15 million. The odds of the same woman winning 6 Grammy Awards and starring in 2 Broadway plays? 1 in 75 million. The odds of this musician and performer having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 88. I'm Toni Braxton, and I encourage you to learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference.
This first song I will be singing is called Due to Their Ways. You were just 3 years old when the doctor said your head's too hot and New York is too cold. And he said, my son, what's your last resort? I'll bring you candy and toys of all sorts. And you said, Flora, I want dear Flora, with my head on her bare bosom and white powder on her face. You said, Flora, can't get her for you due to her ways. So you grew up and ran, 'cause you knew you had to be the bigger man. And you only took the keys to the car. You were fixing to go real far. So you slept in all the American motels, and you sold your soul to get something from hell. But the devil said, what you selling that for? Don't you know this means you can't have it no more? You said, honor, I want my honor. Now she's gone, her memory forever takes its place. You said, honor, you already got honor due to your ways. Well, the girl took the poor thing inside, keep it warm from the storm so it wouldn't die. And it got better as the months went by, and pretty soon that little sparrow could fly. She said, mother, well, can't I keep her? Oh, I love her, don't she know that I'm the one who kept her safe? And the mother said, child, creatures are wild due to their ways. Well, the smokestacks, they're on the rise, and all the profit goes to hurting the other side. And the peasants stand in all those bread lines just to get enough to last them through the night. And you say, freedom, so this is freedom. Playing with weapons while good men sleep in cells forever afraid. They tell me heathens, we have our reasons. Behind the curtain you can't see the more. Heathens, we cannot free them due to their ways. charcoal dream on your mattress just welcomes me back again, where the walls have walls and the windows have windows and the doors have doors that lead to that familiar place that I've been to before. And you hold on to your mother's beads when your head is upset, and you're all that conditioning and just gurgles you right to bed, where the walls have walls and the windows have windows and the doors have doors that lead to that familiar place that I've been to before. And I put my velvet coat on my shoulders again, again, and he holds you by your long slender neck and pulls you behind the red curtain, and you part yourself till the night has fallen, then you come out again, where the walls have walls and the windows have windows and the doors have doors that lead to that familiar place that I've been to before. And I put my velvet coat on my shoulders again, 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 again. That song was called The Truest Freudian Slip, and the last song I will be singing is called A Shame. You would lie in the bathtub for hours and hours. You were too drunk to stand, so you never took showers. She drove into the eye of the storm with me, our car drenched in diesel gasoline. Well, your children won't carry out your is cold, the lights are dim, and the lampshades they're old. Enough of your scars will hide all your scars, but we don't even know where the hell you are. Well, your last cigarette will go out in flames, and the papers they'll all say that no shame, no shame, no shame.
Well, we just witnessed what I think was a stellar performance, and now we're going to move on, and we will be listening to the productions of our second musician, whose name is Danae Greenfield, who will be treating us to 2 or 3 songs. It was excellent.
sang in Berkeley Square. And now I'm going to play one of my compositions entitled Time Will Tell. now I'm going to invite Liliana back up, and we're going to do another jazz standard together called Cherokee.
One, two, three, four. Brave Indian warrior, since first I met you, I can't forget you, Cherokee sweetheart, child of the prairie, your love is calling, my heart enthralling, you Cherokee. Dreams of summertime, of lovely time gone by, throng my memory and tenderly I sigh, my brave Indian warrior. Someday I will hold you in my arms, fold you, my Cherokee. Brave Indian warrior, since first I met you, I can't forget you, Cherokee sweetheart, child of the prairie, your heart is calling, my heart enthralling, you Cherokee. Dreams of summertime, of lovely time gone by, throng by memory and tenderly I sigh, my brave Indian warrior. Someday I'll hold you in my arms, fold you, my Cherokee.
Well, it has been a great pleasure listening to the musics from Berklee College of Music. And now we're going to continue conversing about the musics that they just produced for us. I think it's appropriate to say, wow. So impressive. Now, what I would like us to talk about in such a short period of time is about the evolution and the history of the songs. Let me begin with Liliana. What I thought was remarkable about your work is the quality of the lyrics. This is not to say that the totality of the music is not distinctively eloquent. It is. But I was quite impressed with the lyrics. Now I know why you're interested in writing poetry and short stories. Because the lyrics tell a story. I could sort of sense a storyline in all these three songs that you did. Am I right?
Yeah, I appreciate you listening and paying attention to that. They definitely all have different backgrounds, and contain personal stories as well as observations. So yeah, you're correct.
Let's talk about shame, for example. That is quite intense.
Thank you.
In what kind of mood were you when you wrote that song?
Pretty pissed off.
About what?
I mean, it's going to sound kind of cliche, but it's about my disillusionment with parenting, and just just innately having to respect your parents, even though their pasts might be something not easy to respect. So it's just one of those angry teen songs, I guess.
Well, I wouldn't call it a teen song. In fact, in spite of your age, I found all three songs to be remarkably mature. How old are you?
18.
18. In spite of your age, in fact, what you have are very mature songs. They remind me of the young Beatles, who were ahead of their times. You seem to be heading. Of course, I'm not a professional musician, but since I teach at Berklee College of Music, I do talk to some brilliant musicians. So, drawing from what I've learned from them, I think you're bound to make a name for yourself in a very short period of time.
Thank you.
Just stay on.
Huh?
Stay on.
Oh yeah, always.
That's right. And now the pianist. What a passionate pianist you are. And I'm being truthful. I felt as if I could just listen to you on the piano and Liliana on her lyrics, on her songs, the whole night without even getting tired. You are very impressive. You must have begun practicing playing the piano as early at the age of 2?
Age of 6.
That's too old.
Yeah, it was actually pretty interesting. As a 6, 7, 8-year-old, I would get so frustrated with myself practicing that every wrong note that I would play, because everything I played was on sheet music in little booklets that my teacher would give me, and every wrong note I would play when I was practicing at home would result in a complete meltdown, to the point where I would go crying to my parents saying, "No, like, take me out of piano lessons, like, I can't do it." And they're like, "No, you can do it, like, you can do it."
Yeah.
And I'm glad they didn't cancel my piano lessons,
Of course.
because here I am, and it's what I love to do.
And while I was listening to the two of you, I kept on imagining you to be the kind of students. Of course, I'm honored to be your teacher, by the way. I have very little to teach you, but quite a bit to learn from both of you. You're so mature and so reflective in this philosophy and literature course. And it's always a pleasure to throw questions at both of you, and the responses are invariably deep, very gratifying in that sense. But anyway, you look like the types of musicians, I think, who practice at least 10, 15 hours a day, who do not get satisfied with the quality of your productions. Am I right?
As far as practicing goes, I'm definitely not as responsible as I should be. But when it comes to writing a song, the editing is endless. It's always happening. It still is for those songs.
Just like that essay that you're writing for me.
Yeah, pretty much.
You are really writing it and rewriting it, writing it and rewriting it, hoping that you're going to produce a perfect piece. Well, let me disappoint you. There is no perfection.
Yeah, sure isn't.
We have about 5 minutes left, and I have so much to ask you because I'm so impressed by the two of you. And now back to you. That last song, unbelievable. How many hours did it take to compose that? It looked like you enjoy composing a lot.
Yeah.
Have you taken a course with Alan Levines? A brilliant composer. And Bill Bamfield.
Thank you.
Do you know these musicians at Berkeley? Bill Bamfield
I don't.
and Alan Levines are. And of course, Christian Armstead and George Russell, some of the few names that I know.
Yes.
These are masters
Yes.
of their field. So anyway, yes.
The song, actually, I wrote it about I think it was 3 years ago. I was talking earlier about this realization that music is what I wanted to be doing, and I wrote that piece around that time. And actually, as a kid, when I was asked, oh, what do you want to do when you grow up, Danae? I would really not have an answer. Most kids would be,
Yes.
oh, I want to be Superman or a doctor
Yeah.
or a veterinarian. But I really didn't know, and for a long time, it scared me that I don't know what I'm going to be doing in five years from now. Even people right now at school, they know exactly what they're going to do, but I don't know where I'm going to be in 5 years. But what I do know is that music is what I want to be doing. And a friend told me once not to doubt myself. And I think that's really important. So the song, Time Will Tell.
Time will tell. I like the
Time
title.
will tell what
Time
I
will
will
tell.
be doing
What I'll be
in
doing.
5 years.
It's incredible. So it's autobiographical in a way.
I guess
I didn't
so.
realize that.
Oh, it's
That is so wonderful.
Yeah.
Time will tell. It is really in the language of Herbert Marcuse, whom we are studying. It is a universal language, right? Time
Yes.
will tell.
Yes.
It is something that you can say just about anybody and their dreams, particularly when they suffer from anguish, self-doubt, and insecurity that art as art endangers.
Yeah. Definitely.
Well, we have about 2 minutes left, I think, and I would like us to use this time for the two of you to use these 2 minutes in any way you want and speak to your colleagues at Berkeley and beyond about music. What would it be? What would you like to say to them? Let me begin with Liliana.
I was interviewing a teacher of mine for a class, and he said something that I thought was really important. He said, whatever field you're in, whatever art field you're in, make sure that you, I don't know, I need to do this, I haven't necessarily, but look at all other art forms as inspiration for your art form.
I see.
Other, completely different art forms.
As in spirit. That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
His example was jazz is like science fiction. So, that, I don't know, I think that's really cool.
Okay. And you, Danae?
I don't really know what to say besides if I'm not composing, then I feel like my purpose when playing standards when it comes to jazz is to serve the music, but also thank the composer, because we wouldn't be playing the music we play today if it weren't for people who preceded us, who created such beautiful music. So when I encourage everyone when they are playing music to think about if it wasn't you who wrote it, and are you doing it justice? Yeah.
Well, I must say this has been a remarkable experience for me. I hope I was sufficiently intelligent to have asked you stimulating questions. If I haven't, I'll learn more. And when I invite you to African Ascent, the question will be even more meaningful. Thank you so much for African Ascent. This has been your host, Teodros Kiros, for African Ascent.